Morning, everybody. Ken, how's it going?
Doing well, you?
I'm hanging in there, dude, knocking the rust off from the weekend. It's September 20th, Wednesday, noon my time, 9 a.m. your time, running late again this week. That seems to be our MO.
Yeah, but we're doing it.
Yeah, that's what I was inside, and my wife was like, I just woken up from a nap, a mid-morning nap, and she's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got to go record the podcast." And she's like, "You don't have to, you don't got to do it every week." I'm like, "Nah, we're on a schedule. We got to keep to it. Even when we're running a little bit behind, we'll get it done every week." But
same thing. Even if it's a short episode, I want to at least do something, especially after having such an exciting weekend.
That's kind of where I was at, is like I came off of it, like I hopped on the treadmill this morning, did my stretching and stuff, and I was like mentally preparing for the episode, and I was like, I want to definitely have one before like the high of the weekend wears off. You know what I mean? Like I want to definitely be able to like fully appreciate and share how the weekend went before, we get back into the normal grind that kind of sucks our souls out of us. But yeah, speaking of the weekend, man, you guys made it home safe, I take it, obviously.
Yeah,
no
we
hiccups?
got home. No, everything was good, dude. Traveling was so chill. Like we had talked about, I was worried about the bags and I was worried about all my stuff and everything. Like I brought the Pelican case with the sharpener in it, but I just carried it on. They asked me at TSA, like they ran it through the machine 3 or 4 times. They're like, "What the hell is this thing?" They were just curious, really. But I was worried about it. I'm like, fuck, because the clamps are sharp and stuff in there. And but that was no issue. And then cheat code, like we talked about, dude. Flying, this is the best way to fly with literally anything of any value. Put a firearm in your bag, put a BB gun, put a flare gun, literally anything in your bag. And TSA, like you go up to the gate and I said, yeah, I need a declaration. And they're like, "Are you flying with a firearm?" Yes. And they're like, "All right, we just need to verify that it's unloaded." So I just opened the case and I didn't put it in a small case. I put it in a soft pouch in my Pelican case with all the knives and all the slingshots and everything. And you just basically show them, hey, the mag's empty, it's clear, and that's it. And they put a tag on there. You sign the tag, and it says there's an unloaded firearm in this case, and it just goes right on top inside the case. And then you put your own locks on it, non-TSA locks, like they can't unlock it or anything. So you just throw your locks on it, and they take it, and that was it. And when you get to your destination, and I threw air tags and stuff in the bag too, but when you get to your destination, you just go, instead of it coming down the chain and around the carousel, it goes to an office, and you literally go in the office, you show them your ID, and they hand you your bag. So you don't have to wait for the carousel. It's literally like the first bag out. And it was super chill. No questions asked, nothing.
How much did it cost?
It was $30 just to check the bag because I didn't have it included with my flight, but I'm gonna pay to check a bag anyways, carrying all the knives. So there was no additional cost for bringing a firearm on. And
did you bring any ammo with you? Just like
I normally would. Well, I wanted to, but I didn't because I don't have a factory box. All my stuff is in mags, so it has to be in like the cardboard box with the the tray in it and everything.
Interesting.
It has to be like an enclosed box, ideally. Like a retail packaging for ammo. So,
right.
Yeah, I didn't even bring any. Like I literally just brought that so I can throw the locks on, and it worked out.
Nice.
Awesome. Highly recommend anybody flying with anything. You camera gear, anything. Yeah. Shit, that light already.
No, that's a no-brainer, man. I've never thought to do that. I've heard of it in the past, but I mean, even so, like when you're in a new city, like
exactly,
as long as your concealed carry permit like translates to that state. Like you probably want to carry anyways. So, 2 birds with 1 stone. And yeah, I actually do know they are pretty picky about that non-TSA lock thing because like when Carver and I were flying home from Portland, he had TSA locks on his pouch and they were almost not going to let him fly because they were only TSA. And I happened to have a non-TSA lock from when I checked my non-firearm bag on the way out, and they wouldn't let me use a non-TSA lock. And so I had to take it off, and then they zip tied it closed so that the case wouldn't pop open. I was freaking out about that. So I happened to have a non-TSA lock that he was able to use.
Nice.
But yeah, so we got lucky there. But yeah, that seems to be the way to go. I'm assuming all airlines are probably pretty similar with their policies. I'm sure it's like a federal policy with regard to flying with a firearm. So that's definitely a good hack. Good call.
Yeah, it's on the TSA website too. All the regulations are all on there.
Nice.
Yeah, TSA locks are pointless because they're all locked the same. They're all keyed the same.
Right.
So you just go buy
Anybody
a TSA
can get
lock
in.
and you can unlock anybody's lock. It's stupid.
Wow.
The zip ties are good. Yeah, when I flew with Yamazen a lot, I would actually tape a bunch of zip ties to the outside. Like, hey, please zip tie these things closed. And
that
once
makes
you're
sense.
done inspecting.
Your Pelican case was dope. I need to get a hold of one of those. I'm using like a handheld one that doesn't have wheels, and like I'd love to get one of those Pelican Airs and just get like a custom Nalpac insert that has like a firearm slot, that has maybe a watch or two slot, like some knife slots, and then like a bigger compartment or something just for organizational sake on trips. Like that seems like it would be a no-brainer. Your setup was really sweet.
Thanks. Yeah, that would be cool. I never thought about doing it like that. Like just dedicate this for doing like knife show travel or whatever.
I mean, honestly, now these days with, this year I'll do like 5 shows, and like it seems like it makes sense to have something like that dedicated. And honestly, because your Nalpac insert can come in and out, so it's like you have your Nalpac insert if it's for a show, and if you're going to use it for something else, just pop the insert out and you can just use it as normal, and like it's not a big deal. But like my case has some slots, but I'm cramming stuff in places it doesn't fit, and like it'd be sweet if it was just dedicated. And Andy is so good about pretty much doing anything you want that like, you could just hit him up with the specs, and I'm sure he could buzz it all in there.
Nice. That's a good call. I never thought about that. I basically used all my slingshots as like the filler in there because I brought 45 or 55 of them or whatever.
Just stand them up all around and like constrain all your stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So
nice, man.
Yeah. The show went well though, dude, man. You killed it for sure.
I appreciate that. What was like your, we talked briefly about what your takeaways were from the show, but like as a whole, the experience in general, like, was there any part of it that you enjoyed more than anything else, or did you just find the whole thing to be cool? Or like, where did you land on it all?
Overall, it was pretty cool. There's a helicopter flying by right now. Just wait a second. I'm probably going to mute my voice a bit. Sound like I'm underwater. We got a lot of like big military helicopters and stuff that fly up the freeway right here. So
I believe it. You sound good to me.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, the show overall takeaways, like we talked about, really, I was really nervous going into the show, bringing the knives, because I literally finished them like 2 a.m. Friday night, and we left at 6 a.m. Saturday morning. Like our flight was at 6:45, so I was out of the house by like 4:30. 2 hours of sleep, and just nervous. Like, shit, did I do enough? Were they good enough? And everybody that handled them, I mean, there were some little things like the lock bars are real stiff, but overall, my biggest takeaway was really just like gaining that confidence in my work and knowing that the people out there are like stoked on it. So that was a huge relief for me because I feel like I'm super picky about stuff. And I think the things that I'm like conscious about are justified. It's stuff that I want to revise, and it's stuff that I know I can revise and I know how to do it. So moving forward, I'm just going to do that. But overall, like, it was cool. Like, the show was cool. Just meeting all the people that I talked to on Instagram and Facebook before the show, and people just coming up and actually introducing themselves. That was real nice. And then seeing you again and hanging out with everybody and hanging out with Alex. And overall, it was just a really cool experience. So the vibe was really good and good energy. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think you nailed it. It's interesting because you're experiencing, I know you went to one other show years ago, but like more or less you're experiencing like a knife show as a attendee, and you're experiencing a knife show as a vendor for the first time, And so I could see how that would be just a little bit intimidating because honestly, at this one, there was a lot of people, like that was certainly a great turnout that I did not, I underestimated, how many people would be there. You think, what like 500 or 600 people looks like, but then when you actually see them and you see them in a confined space, you're like, holy crap, this feels like a lot more people. But, yeah, even, they really just did it all. Indy was a cool city. It wasn't overly busy, but they had good food. They had, like it was active. The weather was great. The hotel I thought that they chose, I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't like that felt like a 4-star hotel. Like it was like nice, you know. And then when you walk in and they have the signage for the show, and he had the meet and greet, you know, whatever, the evening before, which I got to be honest, that was a little bit weird for me at first. We walked in and it was like there was just like a room off to the side, and I didn't really know anybody. Thankfully, Alex was there, so we were able to like shoot the shit a little bit and grease the wheels. And then we hit the lobby, and it was good to see familiar faces like my buddy Steve and Daniel. I call him. Seems like all these guys, like his name, he goes by Daniel, and I'm like, I'm gonna call him Danny here. You know what I mean? For some reason, I just like have this need to like give people nicknames. But Dan was there, Daniel was there, and you know, you start to see some collectors that you know and other makers, and then like things start to loosen up a little bit. We went and got a nice dinner. It was good just to have like the beginning of the show, just to see you and Joe and just to catch up, you know, because it had been 4 years, I think, since I saw you guys in person. But I still talk to you so regularly that it was nice to kind of like hit pause on the show crowd for a couple hours and just go like catch up and cut it up a little bit and just like, you know, just be happy that you guys were there. And then, you know, we both kind of crashed. Like you guys crashed and I had to drive a half hour back to Logan's. And I then woke up the next day, like ready for the show, excited. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we checked out your knives. You were stoked. You know, my stuff kind of fell into place. And like, I just woke up feeling energized for the show. Yeah, then we swung by and got you, picked you guys up. The show was close. You know, it was literally like a mile down the road, which was like just, it was nice. No traffic, no bullshit. Like just got down there. Parking was great. You know, like I think all these other shows, like I think of Atlanta, you're parking across the road and having to walk across catwalk. You know, it's just like, you know, this was just real. It was just convenient was the word that like stuck with me over the course of the weekend, you know?
Everything was very convenient, and everything was really clean. Like you said, the city was really nice. It was a beautiful city. All the architecture, like buildings, were real nice. There was a little bit of construction in downtown, but overall, nothing that kind of ruined the experience. One thing that like Joe and I really noticed, because we ended up walking about 10 miles on Monday. We straight just walked the city for hours because our flight was at like 6:15 or whatever Monday evening. So we got up in the morning, we walked, found some spot to get some breakfast, and then we just walked around for hours. The city is very clean. There was not, I mean, where we're at, there's tents everywhere. Literally every single street, there's tents tucked wherever they can fit. In, you know, Orange County, LA, basically all of California is just tent city. I didn't see one single tent in the whole entire city. In all the little back streets and alleys and stuff that we walked down, there was a couple people kind of hanging around, but nobody that was like aggressive or loud or really, we weren't worried about anything walking around there. It smelled nice. There was literally like one tiny little street that we walked by where we smelled a little bit, and it was like where all the bars were. But overall, just a beautiful city. The weather was great. The sky looked awesome. And there's a little canal that you can walk that looks like it's a few miles at least what we walked. There's paddle boats and there's ducks and geese and all kinds of stuff everywhere, and really, really nice. So that was a cool city. I could totally see myself just living out there and being totally content. Not that I want to move, you know, but I mean, I do, but
everybody in California wants to move, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, it would be a chill, just super chill city. It seemed like especially like right in downtown. So it was
cool. Wait till the winter sets in, and then you realize how much you.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
you know, yeah. But yeah, there definitely were not a lot of homeless people. That's for sure. I noticed that, and I mean, we're in Erie. I mean, we don't have any of that really.
It gets too cold in the winter. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it'll kill them off, you know. But you guys have that year-round climate for those outdoor folks. But yeah. I was kind of taken aback too by like the level of professionalism, right? Like it was like a gated entrance into the show, and we were met by like a concierge from Oz, you know, and they took us like through the elevator, and like the room was really, I was like, yeah, dude, it was cool, you know. It was you felt like they really were like rolling out the red carpet for you as a maker, you know what I mean? Like I just was very impressed with this being their first time promoting a show, for them to take the level of care, you know. And I was talking with Jenna afterwards, Daniel's wife, and like they literally, the cost of the tickets literally covered the cost of the venue. So all the extra stuff that they did came out of their pocket. Like and they didn't they didn't recoup any of that. Like in no way, shape, or form did they recoup any of that. You know, like all the snacks and the food and stuff at the after party, and like, you know, the promotional material and like the badges, all that stuff. You know, like that was just like touches that they felt like the show needed, which I thought was really cool. I really like the layout. It was like simple, but like I liked the two pods in front with like the tables around the outside. It really kept people like kind of flowing through the place, as opposed to like log jamming, which you see sometimes at shows. You know, the natural light was great. We were lucky because our tables are right against windows, but you know, a lot of times you get into these shows and it can get kind of dank and the light can be pretty unforgiving of your work, you know? And so to have light kind of behind us and like having the room fill with that, like really kind of like let the knives kind of present themselves like how I think that they should, which is always a nice thing. It's not necessary, but it certainly is nice. But yeah, and then I mean, as soon as those doors opened, man, like that was just a stampede. You know, it was wild. I'll let you kind of expound on that experience from your perspective.
Yeah, I think I had a little bit more time than you probably to just watch what was going on, because I had maybe 5 minutes or so before anybody really came to my table.
Sure.
You know, because the doors opened at 1. Like when we got there, like you said, you know, the parking was right there, but we had to walk under the bridge to get there. And it was a wild feeling, like walking with a bag and walking with a case, knowing that I have all this stuff in here that somebody might buy. I have no, you know, not knowing what I'm really walking into, because it was the first time we went to the venue too. And walking past literally hundreds of people that were waiting and camping on the sidewalk there. From what I heard, the first person there was like, they got there before midnight.
Wow.
So they were waiting
12
outside.
hours plus.
They were waiting for 13 hours before they could even get in. Well, I mean, they got in the venue a little bit earlier than that, but yeah, they were essentially waiting for 13 hours before the actual doors opened to the second floor where we were. So yeah, I was basically sitting there because my table was on the corner on the inside little loop. And then because Matt wasn't there, you know, I stole his table next to you, which was awesome.
Oh yeah.
I was actually like, it sucked because I would have loved to see his stuff and it would have been cool, but I'm glad he came. It was really good to finally meet him in person. I've known him for like 10 plus years.
Yeah.
Just, or whatever he, you know, said, just from Instagram. And that's how I met Dave Curtis, was from him when he used to work there. And so yeah, it was the spot where I was at basically was right in the middle. It was pretty much the center of the room on the back wall, and directly in front of me was the doors. And 1 o'clock hit, like it was just super calm because we had mingled for a couple hours before that. Met everybody and kind of did a little bit of trading and stuff. And so the doors opened, and it was just, there was like 3 main lines that I really noticed of guys just sprinting to tables, like just pushing past whoever they could to get to the table that they wanted. And I'm just watching everybody just run, you know, every direction but mine, which was fine. I wasn't expecting people to be in line for my stuff right away. And so seeing the flood of people come in, especially after like the final 10 minutes of everybody just like, all right, I'm going to chill for a minute because this is going to get absolutely crazy. And then seeing everybody just sprinting to tables and like big bags just ready to get full of stuff. And it was like, it reminded me of like kids just running into a candy store with like an empty bag. Like, I'm going to fill this shit with whatever I can, you know? And so it was just the energy that flew through that door when that happened. Like, I think all of us were kind of feeling the same thing. I would imagine, just like, fuck, dude, how is this going to go down? You know, just kind of some nerves and everything. And then once the first person came to my table, it was like, there was maybe 5 minutes or so of just kind of calm for me. And then the first person came to the table, and then boom, a line formed. I think as soon as it's like, you know, you do those like social experiments. You stand at a door, like just some random door, and people just start lining up. You know, like, what are we waiting for? Kind of thing. And it was, you know, and there might not even be anything in there. But so as soon as one person came, it was Steven Farmview, and he was the first person at my table. And he's like, I'm taking one of everything. And so he got datum, he got a slingshot, I brought a couple of the 1911 tools, which I found out right after, or I noticed he's got 1911s and 2011s. Like, that's one of his things he's into, you know. So it worked out really good.
Passionate collector.
Yeah, and I only brought 2 of those. It was the only ones that I had. Helicopter's back.
Be all right. I'm sure Riverside will take care of it.
Fucking, it's loud. So yeah, he ended up getting one of everything and some patches and stuff, and I was like, holy shit, dude! That was the biggest purchase of the show for me, was from him. But as he was at the table, another dude was at the table, and there was a couple people in back where they're like, fuck, I hope nobody gets one because I want one, because I only had a few left, or I only, out of the 10 that I brought, I only sold 5 because that was all I had finished before the show. But I brought, because I had this one that we were looking at, the night before, that's got that little gremlin in the pivot. So I'm like, I just pulled that one and I didn't have it on the table. And then I held one back that I had sold to just to show people. So anyways, yeah, it was from the time the first person stepped to my table until the knives were gone was about 5 minutes. So it was nice, really man. Crazy, dude. I was expecting just kind of a slow burn throughout the show, sell one here and there, and that little crowd was just pushing their way through. Like it was hard for me to pay attention who was next. So I was really just kind of relying on these guys to do like they have to
manage the line themselves. Yeah.
I'm like, hey,
hopefully they just are
I don't know which one of you guys was next. And this guy was like, it was him. And that dude bought one. And then that other guy didn't get one. So it was like,
oh,
damn,
burn.
Dude. But it was cool. There was a lot of people that came by like, fuck, if you had another one, I would buy it for sure. So I'm like, all right, cool. I get home and finish up the rest that I have. I got 10 to finish up like this week or, over the next few days, whatever. I'm really close on all of them. So, and then the slingshots, they just kind of slowly trickled out. I sold maybe a dozen of those.
Hey man, that's good money on there. I mean, that's like the equivalent of a knife and a half or 2 knives and slingshots, so.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. I mean, I brought home a lot more than I was expecting, but at the same time, like they've always done well over time. So the nice thing is they're all done. They're assembled and they're really ready to throw in a pack. So
that's a nice item to have stocked and ready to go.
For sure. But yeah. And then seeing your stuff too with the lottos, dude, it was so crazy. I mean, multiple sheets on those. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, each one of those things had like 3 sheets. It was just weird. It was just, there was constantly somebody signing up, for like 4 hours. It was just like a nonstop sign up. I've never had that kind of like lottery response before, like I've had, I've had 50 entries or something like that, but I've never had, hundreds of, 300 plus entries. So it was, and then the crowd that formed when the lottery is being drawn, I didn't expect that at all either, which was like, oh, this is like an anticipated thing. Like people are wanting to know if they won, and like, I don't know why I didn't expect that, but it was definitely pretty special. It was good conversations. I was lucky to have Logan there with me because he was kind of fielding a lot of questions too. While I was having if I was having a more in-depth conversation with somebody, he was able to kind of stage the next guy and kind of like bullshit with them so they didn't get disinterested, and then I was able to kind of jump in, and that just worked out really nice having a second person there. Even like when I was like, people would buy a knife or whatever, and then like he's counting money while I'm like, getting all the crap together for it and stuff is just like, definitely will not be going to a show alone in the future, just always got to have somebody by your side. But I thought it ended well. I fucked up and I had my lottery, and lotteries end at the same time as my auction. So I was trying to like manage a kind of chaotic auction end with like having a crowd of people there, like clamoring for who won the lottos. And I was just like, I really fucked this up. I should offset these by like a half an hour. But yeah, and then to have Alex next to me, and just watch his line, he had probably like 50 or 60 people in his line or more, that like as soon as the show started, it took him like a couple of minutes to zero in on him. And then he had that line for an hour until he sold out,
Yeah.
And he was kind of like one of the highlight hangs of the show for me. I didn't know what to expect. He's kind of fucking crazy, but then I realized like, as we're hanging out, that like, I'm kind of fucking crazy too. You know what I mean? So it's like the energy matched, and, between getting dinner with him and his old man that night, or like, heading over to that, arcade bar, after we were done at the closing party, just kind of getting able to cut it up with those guys and just like bullshit was definitely pretty special. Like I felt like while I reinforced a lot of existing friendships, he was kind of like the coolest new person that I met at that show. So definitely leaving with an appreciation for him. And also, I mean, you and I can both thank him again because he gave us each a knife, which was, you know, a gesture beyond anything that I anticipated. And I got to be honest, I've had it in my pocket for the last 3 days. So
I know mine's been in my pocket this whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I have
Same
gym
thing.
shorts on, so I don't have mine with me right now, but it's sitting over there. But yeah, and it's a testament to the fact that, like, if you get good at making a product, like, regardless of what it is or how it's made, if you get good at it and it's a solid item and you have it consistently available, like, people will buy it. You know, it doesn't have to be like, you don't like, he's been making knives for a while, but like he hasn't been making folders that long. And like he just, you know, for the last year and a half or however long it's been since he got the Speedio, has just been on it and shared the process and started making stuff available and was consistent with his deadlines that he projected. And, you know, his customer service is good and he has a demand, you know, and it was just cool to see that, like, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. You know what I mean? Like he's found his niche and people appreciate it and it's cool.
Yeah, he's just a good, honest dude, it seems like, and he's genuine, and yeah, everything that he's been doing, you know, in his stories, and he's just kind of no bullshit, tells it like it is, and builds a good, honest product, and he's very transparent about his process. So, and it's a cool, fun knife. It's a good size, and it's just fun to play with too. I mean, most knives are, but
yeah, but there are also some that are not fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like his is robust, you know, like I'm confident in it. It's behind the edge thickness is very, very thin, so it's like it's functional. And like it disappears in my pocket, so it checks all the boxes for a knife that like I would carry on a regular basis. You know, that definitely is my style.
For sure. Yeah, it was fun. His dad was awesome too. It was really cool hanging out with those guys.
Yeah, his dad was like a character, right? Like you never know. Like I kind of like, and this is probably to a detriment, but like when I'm around like an adult, like somebody's parent like that, that's choosing to enter into our world and then choosing to like hang with us, I don't really pull any punches as far as like what I say, how I say it, just because I'm always like kind of curious as to like how a boomer will react to like my kind of crass or like brazen remarks or like sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And he just fucking rolled with it, man. Like he laughed totally at my jokes, like totally like just busting chops and like having fun. And like, I don't know. I thought that was sweet. My buddy, when I had my buddy's bachelor party at camp about a month ago, and his old man came up for 2 days and kind of like hung out with us and partied and stuff. And like he walked in or was a part of some conversations that like I feel like most like guys his age would just be like, what the fuck is wrong with these guys, you know? And he just rolled with that shit. And so it was like 2 dudes in a row that like were just down for the hang, which was pretty rad.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I definitely want to head up there and check out Alex's setup too. I mean, he's only like 3 hours from me. So I definitely want to prioritize getting over there and checking it out.
Yeah, we should have him on sometime.
Yeah, I think we were just talking about that. Like, I want to grab another microphone and be able to send it around and start to include, now that by the time that happens, we'll probably be 10 episodes deep. But I was beginning to consider, like, if you think about the other knife podcasts that are out there and like where they're lacking, I think is like having on modern popular makers, you know, to like to speak about, you know, and then when they do have somebody on, it's always like a backstory, like tell us how you got into knives, like blah blah blah. And it's like, I think I'd rather do the opposite, right? Which is like have people on that are relevant. They don't really care how you got to where you are. Let's just talk about what's going on right now. Because honestly, if you think about what like you're accustomed to in the knife world, it's like you're presented with what's going on in somebody's life right now. Very rarely are you scrolling back to like their intimate beginning. Like you're just thinking about and aware of like what they're doing right now. And so if we kind of just treat these people who are mostly our friends, you know, like just to let them jump into a conversation with like the show they went to last weekend or like what projects they're working on. Don't really need to spend the entire episode hearing their like history. It's like, no, just jump into this conversation with us, you know?
Yeah, do a meet your maker post or something beforehand or whatever. I should probably do that at some point soon too.
Just myself, I mean,
just something.
I think we'll figure that.
But
Yeah, I think we'll figure that out, whether it be on Zodiac itself or whether that's like one of the weekly posts that we do when we start having guests on, which is like we break the ice with like a Meet Your Maker post about us. And then like the weekly thing is your 2 posts a week are, first one is this is the person we're having on this week and here's their backstory, and then an episode post or whatever. But yeah, I look at like, you know, like Mark of the Maker has like traditionally has like prominent people in the industry that are like have a lot of history or made an impact or like are not people that like I would probably cut it up with on a day-to-day basis, you know. And then you get like a lot of the podcasts that revolve around forging, they have people on, but they're like in that world, you know. And there's not really like, if you think about like modern tactical folders, there's not really a podcast that's just like having the big name dudes or like people that are our friends that like people are interested in on for like just a chill episode. So I think that like, and that to me, I mean, I don't know, like when you think about it, like what demographic really gets into that, like you're now catering your podcast to like a niche group of people. Like maybe it's only 500 or 1,000 like avid like knife people that are then listening to these podcasts. But like, I think that you can really develop a rapport with like your core audience by like just trying to present them with content that like we would like ourselves. So I think it's a cool way to go.
Yeah, I think I'd rather do that anyways than try and make something super generic that just going to reach a lot more people. I'd rather have, you know, quality over quantity kind of thing for that. So
sure,
I think we got a pretty good core group of people that are following anyways, that are interested in what we do. And like that conversation that we had with Alex at the arcade after we were done before they shut down, we were literally just sitting at that table for, you know, 45 minutes or whatever, just literally talking about like buying titanium and buying cutting tools and tool life, and, you know, weighing, do I want to buy cheap titanium and have it water jet, or do I want to buy expensive titanium that comes saw cut in the size that I need and it's just ready to go kind of thing, you know? And
yep,
you know, calculating cost per, you know, per pound and all that. And Alex has done a lot of stuff really diving into that because he's doing more quantities than us.
yep.
And I think that's a good quantity where he's at. I don't personally know if I want to be making more than that a month, or even as many as he is, just with how much detail and stuff I have in mind. But I think his is kind of like at the barrier of where, you know, production numbers or whatever kind of start coming into play. He's way more relatable, I think, to what we're doing than, you know, most big knife companies or most guys that are doing any type of quantity, you know, like even Oz, like, yeah, but he's got employees, you know, so it's a whole different, that's a whole different tier, I think, than what we are. He's still one dude in literally a 700 square foot shop doing literally everything by himself. And I think that's where most guys are, just like us, or, you know, Hazy or any of these other guys that are just one guy in the shop doing shit by themselves, whether they're making parts for other people or doing their own stuff. It's very relatable.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's something, you know, to aspire to. When I think about like Alex and I'm like, I'm one guy working every day. He's one guy working every day. How the hell is he making so many more knives than me? You know what I mean? And then, I mean, the obvious answer is because Speedio, but no, it's, you know, it's just he's got a process dialed, and like it's motivating to me to continue to invest my time into just my own work, because I kind of am like at the point now where with the Mac stuff, that's fine, but I'm like interested to see how far I can push my own brand. You know, like at what point do I start to have quality control issues so that I can like dial back? I'm like really ready to like hit that back wall of like what I can do and then dial back from there, rather than always constantly like creeping forward. It's like, no, I want to kick it into high gear and then I want to have to slam on the brakes. You know, I just want to go fast. I just want to go fast, you know, and I want to see like, you know, what that looks like in my brand. So that's kind of the direction that I'm building to. But guys like him have kind of paved the way with regard to like managing. I think his biggest thing, if I look at like what everybody's doing, is he opens a pre-order and he meets the deadline. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, this is a 4-week pre-order for 50 knives, and he gets 1,000 entries into the lottery or the people that are in, and then 4 weeks later, like they're done. You know what I mean? And it's like that like kind of delivery is like uncommon in knives right now. It seems like everybody's always behind, or people are not good at like extrapolating out like a time frame. And there's always like, I'm sorry I'm behind, sorry this, like I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah.
And so it's like refreshing to see somebody that's just like, I'm going to operate within my capacity and I'm going to do whatever it takes to like meet my objective, and then I'm going to do it again the next month and the next month and the next month.
Every month, yeah. 2 years now, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, of just like consistent drops, you know. So
like Yoni.
This is
yeah,
Yoni is a great example.
Yoni.
You know, obviously a little bit less complicated because of, you know, not having to assemble components that have critical, you know, that are critical to one another, but at the same time, at the end of the day, he's still making blades, scales, sheaths. Like he's still making a component assembly that are finely finished, outsourced processes for whether it's like lasering or Cerakoting or whatever. Like he's still like uniquely finishing hundreds of individual products a month, you know, with extreme consistency. You know, he's also somebody that I would love to have on,
absolutely,
you know, to shoot the shit with and just kind of like get his take on where his life is at as a guy that's kind of prided himself in being a one-man shop for a really long time.
Yeah, I think even before we knew him, I mean, he was already making, that's why we met him, obviously, when he was living in San Jose, making knives. Yeah,
I mean, he motivated me to get into knives. Oh, yeah. You know, like that was, I actually like was so into his stuff. Like my first fixed blade, I had to modify it because like it found myself having design elements of like compliance edge knives, and I'm like, oh, can't do that. Not meaning to. I just was like enamored with what he was doing, and his shapes just really spoke to me. And yeah, I just have always found him to be. I mean, his work has always been like the epitome of like clean. You know what I mean? It's just always like right there, right where it needs to be. Every detail consistently handled, and like his product is super consistent. Even when he was hand making every knife, you know, he had like a production knife level of continuity between his products that like you don't see in a lot of handmade items.
Yeah, that's like on my Scout V3. The back of it it's rounded in the back, in the like kind of the heel of the handle area. And I remember talking to him years ago when the Scout had a little pry bar on the back. It was just a tiny little one on there. And we were talking about some of his fixed blades and mine and everything. And we were going back and forth about it. And he's like, yeah, you know, that there's dudes that literally have to push on that because they're in combat and they're pushing on that blade, trying to stab somebody with it. And, you know, you don't want a pry bar on the end of it because that's going to go into your own hand. And he's like, I've had stories of guys in the military that are literally had to use that smooth end to just push it through someone's skull. I'm like, it's fucking crazy, dude.
That's brutal.
So gnarly, dude. And but yeah, that's why the V3 Scout has that kind of round, smooth handle on the end of it. Not that I hope anybody's going to be doing that with my knives, but
hey, man,
I took that design element from
they're
him.
Not fucking themselves up. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's been a big inspiration for me for a long time. So it's cool. Yeah, it was a rad show. A lot of cool people. And like I posted, you know, came back with a couple cool items. I got some stuff for my wife from Archie. And his stuff's
nice.
awesome,
dude. What'd you get?
The little grasshopper. So, you know, the tiny little titanium pipe. I don't smoke. I'll never use it, but I know my wife will appreciate it. So
nice. Yeah, so I didn't make it over to his table. I wanted to go check out his and John's stuff, and I was pinned down, you know, and it's a bummer, you know, that I couldn't get away for like, I should have spent more time at the beginning walking around. I did a little bit, but I just went right to the guys that like I was excited to see that were my friends. Yeah. And I didn't really get around to the guys that I didn't know to check out their tables and their products and stuff. Regrettably. But hopefully we can change that. Yeah, I hit up Sacco yesterday and committed to doing CCKS. So yeah, he asked me for my logo and stuff, and his sister's going to hit me up about, you know, the logistics of the show. So yeah, I was going to like wait and see how deer season went, but I guess I'm going to make this happen. So
yeah, you have to, dude.
Yeah, it feels like you just got to build off of some success. And like, honestly, I was thinking about it. That show is in a little bit under 2 months. And if I kind of start poking at the parts now, you know, just while I have time to like get frames blanked out or to like get steel in for blades and stuff like that, if I just kind of start to handle some of the front end stuff where I have time, by the time I get into crunch mode at the end of next month, like I'll at least be just finishing knives, I hope. Like I should have everything laid out that I need, and I should just be able to be doing my finishing process, which would make it a bit easier. But
nice.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be mid-November. Good times, I hope.
There was the 11th and the 12th, I think. Saturday.
Yeah,
Sunday.
I mean, honestly, because I'm going to the
they're going to be
the Charger game. Yeah, I think the Friday Night Blade Affair is on the 10th, and then The show is the 11th and the 12th. But like I said, my brother's flying in from North Carolina, and we're going to go to the Charger game on Sunday. So in all likelihood, I'll find myself just being at the show on Saturday. I'll just sell all my stuff on Saturday and be done.
Nice.
Yeah, I just want to get the full Monty with regard to being out there. So yeah, that'll be exciting. I'm already trying to think about what I want to do. I think I'm going to do more. Those fat carbon knives are just so well received. I think I'm actually going to do the whole lineup in fat carbon for the next show. Just a different style that they haven't that I haven't used yet. It's called dark matter, and they just have like 6 or 7 colors of it. It's like infused with like black marble carbon fiber with some like different color in it, just so to have continuity. I'll just do like 6 or 7 different knives with the different flavors there, and then obviously one fancy one for auction. But yeah, I'm looking forward to prepping for that now. I think that'll be a nice way to close out the year.
For sure. Yeah, and it's a good little break. I mean, you got most of your stuff done in just a few weeks anyways for this past show. It seemed like anyways.
Yeah, I think I was done in like 10 days. You know, it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like what last month was like a test of process, right? Like in July, I did all the manufacturing engineering stuff for the 3.2 subliner, which was designing the new components, designing the fixturing, manufacturing the fixturing, proving out all of the new cutting sequences, and proving out the design, and while still doing production. So going into the preparation for the Makers Syndicate, I was like, okay, I have all this stuff done. Like, now let me see just what it looks like prepping for another show. And yeah, it took me like 30 days to do all of that for the Portland show. And it took me like 9.5 or 10 days to do just the work on more knives for the Maker Syndicate. So it seems like we're finding some footing with regard to like the production strategy of that design. And I'm interested to see if I can push the envelope even a little bit more now on the, hold on a second. I got somebody trying to come into the shop. My brother came in from North Carolina last night, and he's probably coming in to say what's up to me, but I'm smart and I locked the door. So
I hear him
hang
knocking.
on one second. I'll let you take over.
We could just pause too. I can cut this out. See if I do. I probably won't. My neighbor just walked by too. I was kind of waving at him. He came to hang out for a little while and saw the headphones on, so I think he kept going.
All right, so I'm good now.
Cool. I don't know if I'll cut it out. I've been like pretty relaxed about like before we did it. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna edit out all the silence. I'm gonna cut shit in and out, and I'm like, fuck it. I'm just posting whatever we make.
I really don't think anybody's gonna care about 28 seconds of me walking over that door. I mean, like it's really not that big of a deal.
I know.
But
I was just kind of saying, my buddy Dave walked by too. My neighbor, he walked by and kind of waved and kept going.
Yeah, I could see your eyes dart over to him, like kind of.
Yeah, I was like, "Hey, dude." Yeah, saw the headphones. So
nice.
He's cool. He was over.
But yeah, so we're. Oh, sorry. That's your guy that like your kids go to school together, and he followed you forever, and like you didn't know that you guys were. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's always walking the neighborhood, man. He puts probably. I'm curious who puts on more miles, is him or Joe. Man,
him or Joe.
Dude, so on that Monday before we left, we did like 22,000 steps. I think Joe hit 25 because before we boarded our first flight in Atlanta, Joe just started doing laps. He was just walking the airport. He's like, I'm going to get my steps in. Even when we were in the parking garage and you were sharpening my knives, which again, dude, thank you so much for doing that. That was like the biggest relief. Just, pulling them apart and my wife calling and talking shit to us and, playing with the knives a little bit in the hotel room and then sharpening before the show. Like that was a total tailgate party. Literally right before we walked into the show. It was
legitimately a tailgate party before the show. No, that was easy. And honestly, sharpening is such a shitty thing. If you don't, I take it for granted because I've had good setups to do it for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think back to when I was like sharpening my knives with like a Lansky. You know what I mean?
Dude.
And like, and it's like, it takes, or a Wicked Edge even, it's like, it works well. It just takes forever. Yeah. It's way better to like maintain an edge with those products than it is to put one on.
Totally. So I roughed them on the belt on the 2x72, which I think helped a little bit. I mean, not so much for yours because it's a belt system anyways, but I'm very comfortable on a belt. I think even like doing primaries and stuff, I wouldn't have any issue with it if I ever did have any problems like really milling stuff consistently. I could always kiss them on the belt if I need to, but um, yeah, doing them with the wicked edge just takes a long time, but I love it because it's so consistent. I can get just the nicest, perfect, crisp, clean, like consistent edge height all the way across my blades. Um, I really like the wicked edge stuff, but yeah, I need to get a belt set up, a nice little tiny sharpener with a guide and stuff like you do, because that was awesome. And they look awesome too. They look really good. I mean, you just did a great job on them, so that was nice.
Appreciate that. Yeah, happy to help, because like that's a daunting thing, especially when we literally did it 20 minutes before we walked in the show. You know, if that didn't work out, or like if something like malfunctioned or like my truck inverter stopped working, like you would have to dust off the wicked edge like on your table before the show, like trying to get an edge on these things for these guys. But no, that worked out pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it's I'm trying to get fired back up right now. I can't lie, man. I don't know if it's like, I think there's two things, right? Like, one, the pre-show heavy amount of work is catching up to me, you know, like I'm kind of like trying to kick the jets back on, you know, after going so hard for like 2 or 3 weeks. Another thing for me was like, I've been going through this hormone stuff. You know, I started testosterone replacement therapy in January. And like right now I've been off of my cycle entirely for like 2.5 weeks because I switched doctors and we're switching esters. And so like, I essentially am like have zero testosterone in my blood right now, you know, like, and I didn't really like understand like what that like curve was going to feel like. But like when you fully like detox off of like exogenous testosterone and like you're just flat zero, like it's exhausting. So I was saying that to my wife earlier. I was like, I think like, thankfully my new cycle comes in the mail today. And I'm getting all my blood test results back from the doctor today, hopefully, but I can start the new protocol. But like, it definitely makes me realize that like now I am a chemically enhanced human. And without that, I am kind of like, you know?
Yeah, fuck. I was tired this morning. I need to get blood work done too. I mean, I'm getting old. I'm 38, but not that old. But I'm not as active as I used to be riding BMX every day. But yeah, I need to get some stuff, go to the doctor. I haven't been in forever. I think it would just be good to know where I'm at and get whatever I'm missing. But getting back into shape
that's where
would be
I
nice.
was
Like, go ahead.
In January, I was that way. I hadn't been to the doctor in 20 years. You know what I mean? And like, just like, hey, we're in our midlife right now. It's time to like get a checkup, and like, you get some blood work done and you start looking into it and you're like, man, I'm pretty deficient in a lot of places.
Yeah.
You know, and it's never too late to kind of like take control of like what you got going on. And I think that like, if you're in a place where you feel like going to your PCP and just getting a broad spectrum amount of blood work done just to kind of like gauge everything, I think is probably a smart thing, dude.
For sure. Yeah, I need to do that. Yeah, it was motivating hanging out with Joe just straight for 3 days. He's on a mission right now, dude. I mean, he's lost a lot of weight and he's getting big. He's going to the gym every day and lifting heavy and like doing it up proper. And like I was saying, like at the airport, you know, we did like 22,000 steps. I think it was about a little over 10 miles for me. And
damn,
I'm feeling it today. I didn't feel it at all yesterday. Like I felt great yesterday. So all day, like I was out here most of the day. I only ended up running one slide yesterday. I didn't do like really much knife stuff at all. Cleaned out the garage a lot more. Like trash man came yesterday, so I got 3 empty trash cans. Like I'm gonna probably fill up today with just old shit. And I found out where that possum was sleeping because I got that possum in here for 4 days a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
you located his nest.
I found his nest, and it was in a bucket that I had like all my old pet stuff in. It's like my dog that passed away, Helios. Like his jacket was in there, and there's like a cat bed and a couple things, and it was up on the racks in the back. And Brittany's like, "What's in there?" And I pulled it down, and there was fucking possum prints all in there. I know it was just sleeping in that thing for sure. It was a nice, cozy little spot. So I threw it out in the alley, and every time I check, there's something gone from it. So somebody's been grabbing stuff as they walk through the alley or drive. So
that's weird.
Yeah, it was wild. But yeah, I'm glad that thing got out. It just strolled out that one night. I had a cage in here with cat food and everything, and it pulled the bowl of cat food under the latch release. So it was just in there. It just kept eating. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to let this thing eat. It's been stuck in here for 4 days. It's hit nothing but the walls.
They ain't stupid, dude. That's for sure. Those grinners, man. They know what's up. They're scavengers to the core. Yeah. And actually, I think it's pretty important. They eat ticks. They eat, like here anyways, like they're immune to Lyme disease and they eat deer ticks. So like
Nice.
They're like actually pretty important here because like Lyme disease is like a really big deal in Pennsylvania. Like a shitload of people get it every year from like the insane like deer tick population that we have. Like if you walk through the woods, like you have to be checking yourself, like because there are ticks everywhere.
That's
and
wild.
So yeah, we love our grinners in this part of this country. That's for sure.
Yeah, I didn't mind it at all. I mean, it was kind of cool aside from it shitting in the garage and just tearing up the walls. But my buddy PJ was sending me all kinds of little possum mascot stuff. He's like, with my logo and a possum on it and everything. And he's like, dude, yeah.
That's how you know he's got too much time on his hands, when he's superimposing your logo on a fucking possum and fucking with you with it.
I know, he should have been dropping his brushes. I know he's listening to this. I've been giving him a really hard time about it. He designed these little replaceable head brushes just for the shop. I mean, everybody that has a shop with a saw or an engine lathe or whatever, you got a nice little brush. So.
Those are dope. I use little paint brushes, like cheap $1 paint brushes, and I'd love to replace them with like a nice product.
It's cool. So I've been bugging him every day. So he made these on his Tormach. He made a handful of them, and then I ended up making like 50 of them for him on the Haas. It was one of the first jobs I did when I got the Haas. So yeah, they're machined aluminum, and then these are all gray, like natural Type 3 hard anno. And then he made the little brass knobs. But yeah, you loosen up the screw, and then the brush head just slides out.
Dude.
So you can get this on a long strip, or you can get 2-inch sections or whatever from McMaster. So he's got the brush, and then it literally just slides in, and where's the camera here? So 2 ups.
Nice little T-slot.
Yeah, so he designed it where you can just machine all of it with an 1/8-inch end mill from one side, and then the flip, machine the other side from the 1/8 inch. And with how it all overlaps, you got that little slot in there.
Give the illusion of a full T-slot, but you can do it without having to stand the thing up.
Yeah, and it grabs the rib on the brush, and it just slides in, and then you just loosen up the screw, or back it out, and it tightens up with the little. It's awesome. So, anyways, yeah, he's got time to put my logo on a possum, but not open up his Shopify. So I know he's listening to this, and I've been bugging him every day about it. And
how much are they going to be? Do you know?
I'm not sure yet. Yeah, but they should be. Well,
I'd like to get I'd like to get like 3 of them before he sells out.
Yeah,
I got to send him a DM or something.
Bug him about it. Yeah, he's got to release these, because he's actually the one that did some of the original design on the slingshots and the Scout fixed blade. So he's been around for a long time.
Damn.
Great design sense. One of my best friends. So probably my best friend. Yeah.
I'm shooting him a damn text for sure.
He's a really good dude. And he lives close by too, which is awesome. So
perfect. I mean, let me promote your, let me get 3 of those things and let me help you promote it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let's push these things out and get it fired up.
Yeah. Abyss Tool on Instagram. So
Abyss Tool, is that what it is?
ABYSS. I tag him all the time.
Think I follow
he did the laser work too on the slingshot bands for the leather.
Oh yeah, those turned out really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. I follow him, but he doesn't have any posts. Nice.
Yeah, Abyss Tools with an S, no space. Everybody follow that guy.
I got him.
He's a good dude. So,
well, cool, dude. It's been an hour. Yeah. My brother, I do want to go get with him, and we're gonna go grab some lunch before I get started.
I got a customer. I got a customer. Sorry, I've been paying attention this whole time, but I got a customer that's coming right now to pick up that slide I did yesterday. So he's probably waiting on
distracted,
my
man.
I'm like,
we're not blocked. We're not blocking our time off real well here, but
no, it's all good.
Awesome show.
Cool, dude.
Cool to see your coming out party. Glad that Joe was able to make it. Glad everybody killed it. Really hope that they continue to do this show in the future, because I will for sure be there.
Yeah, same. I'm gonna try and make it too. He's definitely doing it next year. It sounds like. I'm like, you got to do this again. This was an awesome show. And he's like, yeah, I'm down.
It seems like he was unsure, but then like with the feedback that he got from everybody, it's like, nah, I just got to do it.
He has to. Yeah.
So
cool, man.
Well, cool, man. Kill the week, and
sure.
I'll plan on catching up with you. Hopefully we can both get our fires relit today and tomorrow, and we get back to making some shit, because the world's not waiting. But I hope you kill it, and I look forward to catching up with you next week.
Sounds good, dude.
All right, man. Peace out.
Later.